Everybody, welcome to the Olympian Table, and here we are this morning, and believe it or not, we're based in Houston, and the number one item we're going to be talking about is Hurricane BERYL, and we're going to sort of show you some of the things that have been going on and some of the disappointments that we were going on, and some of the local heroes. We're also going to be talking about them. But it's been pretty chaotic. I actually was running around about 5 hours yesterday trying to get gas for my car. One gas station, I waited about an hour and 20 minutes, and then when I got to the pump, they said, "We've got no gas, we've run out." So it was pretty hectic. These gas owners, I wish they'd just put signs out saying no gas, so at least we haven't got to line up, because when you're in line lining up, have a guess what you're doing? You're burning gas. So I'm here with Miss Kay this morning, and how you doing, Miss Kay?
I'm okay.
You living the dream?
No, it is not the dream right now. I would not call it that.
Heat and sweating like a pig and
sweating like a pig.
I'm glad to say we've got electric in the office and we've got internet in the office. At home, I have no electric.
No electric.
No internet. We have absolutely nothing. I got home yesterday and all the refrigerators were de-icing and water was coming out all from under the cabinetry. So I guess we'll be getting the contractors in to take a look at that when I go, because, I try to keep everything maintained in the house. But anyway, so what we got this morning first, Kay?
We've got some, Houstonians. We've got a lot on Hurricane BERYL and just kind of the aftermath of everything that's been going on, really. Like, one of our first things that we have is just the amount of people without power. Like you said, you are one of those people.
There wasn't really, there was a lot of rain, but the rain wasn't a problem, was it?
It didn't look like a problem, but...
Not in my area anyway, but the wind was the issue. Fences down, trees upside down.
Yeah. Well, where I live, it floods. That street in front of my house, it just floods no matter what. Like, a regular rainy day, it'll start flooding. But it was really bad. On the back of the golf course was really bad. There were kids at the end of the day. I actually took some pictures. They were riding their bikes through the water. That's because, they don't have any power. So they were through the flooded area. So there were just kids. They brought their bikes and it was flooded throughout the whole thing. And they were just riding their bikes through there. They were splashing around.
Something during the day and called it off.
Exactly, because they had absolutely nothing to do. It was.
You've still got no electric, have you?
No, there's no electricity.
You know what really, and it really is pissing me off. Everybody's saying how well Centrepoint have reacted. I think it's been a complete and utter disaster. We have not got the infrastructure. We know we're in a hurricane area. It's not a case of if we get hit by a hurricane, it's always a case of when we get hit by a hurricane. And I think the infrastructure that we have, whoever the politicians are, it needs to be more effective, for a hurricane. Because we're going to show you some numbers today that I don't think are anything to shout about.
They are not. I actually have, my friends live in different places because I'm not from Houston. And I was telling them about what was going on. And they're like, Houston's infrastructure sucks.
It does suck. It does suck. It's flimsy. It's built cheaply.
It is.
I've lived all over the world, and I've never ever, been in anywhere for any reason that we have to go without electric. Who can live in Houston without air conditioning?
Yeah, it's huge. And I think the thing is that yes, we have lost power here. It's almost inevitable that we're going to lose power, here and there because of where we live. However, it's the amount of people, it's the entire city that has no power, number one. And then number two, it's the fact that we're for so long, if it's, hundreds of thousands of people here, hundreds of thousands of people there, it's a huge city. But it's the fact that Centrepoint has an actual outage website, and you can see what areas have no power, and it tells you the amount of people.
There's any more problem with that? I tried last night. If there's no power, your phones aren't working, and you can't even report your outages.
Ugh.
And all it does on the app that you've got for Reliance Energy to report your outage, it just spins and spins and spins and doesn't go anywhere. Lucky enough, I registered before the hurricane, you know, my house number and my account number and everything else. But for people that aren't registered online or pay their bills online,
it's so bad.
It's an issue.
I told you I had an Uber driver tell me that he was driving people from Austin to Houston, the emergency power line people from there to come in to fix, you know, everything. And that they were coming from New York. You said they were coming from Chicago. And Centerpoint, you said they admitted that they didn't have out-of-town emergency crews like they usually have for hurricanes. They didn't have one for this one, which is absurd because now the entire city has no power. I mean,
let me tell you, which item do you want to talk about first?
So we have this, actually, since we're talking about the power, Houston area, do you have power after BERYL? If so, what zip code do you live in? And then it's just telling us, you know, some people are saying what, you know, when their power has come up. Like the first one says 77054, went out at 8:30 and came back around 3:30.
All right, let me ask you a question. Houston area, do you have power after BERYL? If so, what's your zip code? Okay? And it says more than 2.1 million Houston customers remained without power in the Houston region as of 4 p.m. Monday. Well, 4:20 p.m. Monday. How many people live in Houston?
So within that city, within Houston city, that's us, it's 2.3 million people.
Correct.
So
you are on the number, and here we have 2.1. Do you think that's acceptable?
That's why I said the entire city. That is absurd. That's crazy. That they didn't have these people already, you know, ready. 285,000 people and businesses combined. That's the amount of people that have power. Luckily, we're one of them. However, you know.
And can you bring that photo up on the Instagram where it says the Houston area? Do you have power? Yeah,
that's up.
It's up. All right. We've got an office down in Brazoria. We had an agent that had an oak tree across her driveway because the lots are bigger down in Brazoria, so she couldn't get out of the house, so they had to chop the tree up. We've got trees that are on houses and different things. And we've got absolute madness going on. We even had one of the condos that I own, horizontal rain coming into somebody's balcony, going under the sliding glass door.
That's what was going on my balcony. It was all just horizontal. It was just literally just coming this way. It wasn't coming down or at, you know, me. It was all just, it's so bad. I don't know. There's a tree in the backyard that's completely split in half from the hurricane.
Is it on the golf course side or T-Hop side?
I think it's on our side.
Okay, because we need to get that cut down because we've managed that properly.
Yeah, it's on our side. So
I know that we had sent some people out yesterday to cut some trees down, but we have to be careful cutting trees down because sometimes they're on the golf course side, and if we cut the trees down, they get upset.
They're like, "Why did you cut that down?" I was like, "Okay, well, it's very dangerous."
And that's what annoys me about the city of Houston. They're so slow sometimes at responding.
Yeah.
You know.
So there are people so the areas that are up that it says it is, you know, 77573. It's without power and internet. Some places never lost power. Zip code 77048. But
my son lives in Katy. He got his power back on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. My mother-in-law lives at the top end of A-Leaf. I don't know what zip code that is, but she never ever lost power.
Yeah.
So she was in between like Westheimer and Richmond is where she lives.
That little pocket.
I know that little pocket, you know.
Blanca never lost power.
If you go out the subdivision, everything's lost power, you know. And what upsets me is I get a text last night from Centrepoint saying, we found your. I haven't got my phone with me because it's charging downstairs because we've got no electric at home. Basically saying your electric will be restored. We will text you within so long, letting you know when it's available. That was at 8 o'clock last night. Then I get a text at 9:09 saying, we've restored everything but 38 homes and yours is one of them. So then the whole night,
You're just without power.
No. And we've opened up our office for people that haven't got electric. There's one of our managers that's staying here at night time. I believe you're going to hunker down in the podcast room tonight.
I'm sleeping in here. So I have a funny story. It's a little colorful.
What's funny about the hurricane? I don't find anything funny about the hurricane.
This you will find funny. This is so my driver told me yesterday. He said that there was he went to pick up 2 other girls from Katy because they were thinking that they wouldn't lose power, but he picked up 2 girls from Katy and they were meeting with these guys and they were meeting under the pretenses that they wanted to hang out with these guys, but the only reason they wanted to go over there was so that because they thought they had power. So they went from Katy to East Downtown. So that's like an hour, right? And then once they started to get closer to East Downtown, they were upset because they were like, there's no power over here. So they were like, we came over here for nothing.
Well, that's what you get. That's exactly what you get for hanging out with guys for the wrong reason.
For power. I was like, you're not even...
Hanging out and, for guys for money is one thing. But hanging out for guys for
electricity,
air conditioning, I mean, that takes some beating.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, I literally was like, that's what they get. They can't be upset. That is exactly what they get for doing that.
No.
But
unbelievable.
That was the funniest. I was like, you know what? But speaking of people going to places for electricity, Mattress Mac, right?
Let's talk about the Houston hero. All right. He's always the first to react.
He is.
To any natural disasters that we get by opening up all his stores. And I really think he is the Houston hero. And I am saying now, Mattress Mac for US President. I am now launching his official US President campaign. Because he's there to help people. I mean, he is an absolute gem. He's my hero, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I love Mattress Mac. He's very funny.
He's done more for this city than any politician. I really think he has.
Yeah.
As in giving,
it's really nice, and it was just a nice, like, quick Facebook post, and it literally
he opened Sunday night.
And
he opened up Sunday night.
Yeah.
Lakewood Church, until what? Monday Tuesday.
Afternoon.
To me, the churches should have been open as well.
Yeah.
But Lakewood Church are kicking everybody out. So they've got a cooling centre and they're giving out water, and that's great that they're doing that. But they're kicking them out at 8 o'clock.
8 p.m. right?
8 p.m.
Yeah. Mattress Mac, he said that they have it's gallery furniture. So the gallery furniture store that the biggest one that he has is open as a shelter for people to get in out of the storm. We've got plenty of hot coffee and food and chairs and sofas to sit on. We'll be open all day. So he has it as a shelter.
24/7?
I believe so. Yeah, it's all day long.
Why can't the churches do that? Perhaps they're too scared of messing up their new carpets.
Well, which is really frustrating when you think about it, because like Lakewood Church, whatever, but it's like that's the whole point of churches, and Lakewood Church is huge. There is no, it's so big.
Yeah, but it's his jets that he's got.
Like,
he's fast car. You know what my opinion is? Churches are there to help the local communities. and they are there to, you know, I've got my opinions, which
Yeah,
are
I just
about people with jets, and to me, pastors should be barred from jets. They should be given push bikes,
they should.
bicycles.
Hey, if
Anyway.
Taylor Swift gets, everybody hates Taylor Swift for her jet. You gotta
Yeah,
hate
but Taylor
pastors.
Swift earns
for-
it. She's a magician. She's a musician. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So then we have photos. We have some photos
Let's
that
go
we're
through
just
these
gonna
photos
scroll
and
through.
illustration.
Yeah. So that first one is a crazy image. That if you scroll down, that one, their entire just turf. I don't know.
How did they end up in Buffalo Bio?
Where do you?
Poor animals, I feel sorry for.
Yeah.
And you know, apparently horses are the first group of animals that know there are hurricanes on its way.
Interesting. Is it because
I heard that yesterday. Did you see the size? Did you see that picture of the tree
which one? Let's see.
that's gone over the oak? The second photo. Second photo down.
I'm looking at, I don't know. The first photo that I have is, I think they're just changing, so I think we're gonna have some different photos.
Rolf Rodriguez, second from the left, describes to his neighbor Chris Weiss how his wife was in the front room of their home when a large tree in their front yard fell on their home as a Hurricane Beryl makes it through the greater Houston area.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's the turf of the
Category 1 storm.
So.
Then the picture of the car.
That is.
And the young baby, Scott Weaver, holds his daughter Selma as he looks over storm damage after Hurricane Beryl made landfall on the Texas coast Monday the 8th in Manville. See the pictures of the poor horses?
Yeah. They're probably like, oh my gosh, and horses are so skittish too.
Oh, I love them. I love horses. I wish I could afford to have my own horse. I used to really enjoy when I actually had a horse.
They're very, Then we have building destruction, buildings, in East Houston, and then we've got some kids holding baby squirrels that they found, which I thought was cute. They found some little baby squirrels and they helped them. So we've got a lot of debris everywhere. I mean, Chimney Rock Road, that is right around the corner from us.
That's unbelievable.
That the gas station near my house, the entire, like the top front, the building moniker, just is completely knocked off of it. So, and then
unfortunately, we had a 74-year-old lady that died after a tree fell on a second-story building.
Which is so sad. Just so sad.
That's a picture of her mother. God bless her.
Then we have
tree fell.
Yeah, and then you have the pictures of her house, which is so crazy that, the stuff on her shelves are perfectly
and
fine.
Her house looked like it was currently in pretty good condition, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as if it was any, like on the hardy plank on the side and the brick, there's no cracking, or the problem is you just can't take the stress of the tree falling through the house.
Yeah. And that had it had to have been a huge tree too, because it was her second story.
Downtown, 10 freeway, looking at
downtown.
Yeah. I thought the city held up well to the water, and there's a lot of infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure improvements that were made. I forget which after hurricane it was. On Bray's Bio.
I think there were.
And Best Donuts gave away donuts.
Yeah, they gave away a lot of donuts.
Well, Sophia Chen, you deserve a shout out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they kind of had to too. They lost power, so
Yeah, but
it's nice that they
it's still
did
a good
that.
thing to do. I mean,
Yeah.
how many restaurants lost power? You know, perhaps they should have, done something like that.
Yeah, what just giving away the food. We got a kid. If you scroll down, you see a kid. He's just helping clean up his street, which is nice. This is the entire bayou just
We have a
flooded.
tree on my yard that we're just going to have to pay somebody to cut it up. It's like a limb, but it's so heavy I can't move it. Getting older is not fun. If I was younger, I think I could have moved it to the front of the house.
So it's nice to see these.
Our Buffalo Bio needs downtown just after Hurricane Beryl made landfall. Buffalo Bio has been improved to take more water compared to what it used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it made a huge difference, them improvements that were made. You see the next photo with the two ladies with the water going through. That's one of the biggest problems we have in Houston, because when the trees go down, the drainage points, they block up.
Yeah.
And so these two ladies are really helping a lot by getting rid of, a lot of the debris, because that's a beech nut. See the sign behind it, Bremont perhaps.
Briarmont. That's probably Briarmont.
Is it Briarmont?
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody's a gardener for the next few days.
Yeah. This is it's a little scary. I think it's it's nice that kind of everyone is trying to come together at the very least. We've got, you scroll down, Andrew Parada, an employee at Residence Inn. He's mopping the floor as water keeps leaking in through the hotel, so that's nice.
I was surprised, or perhaps I shouldn't be, on how many lights were down. If I leave the office now and I go home, there's a lot of offices that are down. When I went to, because I've been visiting a lot of the properties that we manage, and I've been driving around, there's a lot of lights that are down, and you don't know what electric is live.
You don't. And I think that it's so sad too, because people don't know how to handle light. It's just treated like a stop sign, but people are not treating it like a stop sign. There are people.
And the problem is, some people, the lights are flashing, and they just drive straight across the flashing light.
Yeah, they have no idea how to, and you think that you would know if you're the only person going. It's like,
This is a really good article that you brought up there.
Yeah.
The photos where people are going through.
Yeah, so we're just kind of scrolling through.
Water flows out of the banks of the White Oak Bayou at Heights Boulevard as Hurricane Beryl moves through. Wow. See, we didn't get, down in the southwest side, we didn't get as much water as perhaps most people. Or if not, it just drained through quickly.
Yeah, I think it
normally when we've had hurricanes in the past, when we go out on the street, you can literally see, because we have water ditches on. We don't have sidewalks, we have water ditches, and what happens is, it literally, on some hurricanes, the water goes all the way up, even up to literally 3 to 4 feet from the house. We have none of that this time. So
I had it in my neighborhood. It was really bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
The electric, I mean, look at this tree.
Yeah,
it's not as if it's a little tree as well, but what happens is the ground softens, and then with the wind, that's where you've got the problem.
If you scroll down, if you see this house that was under construction, too. You see, if you're looking at that one. It
can't be salvaged now. If you look on the very bottom, do you see the side, how it's being pushed to the side?
Yeah, that house is...
It's got to come down and go back up again.
Yeah, all the wood is just probably ruined, too.
It was probably in like the third ward area.
Yeah. I feel really bad for the people. That was probably, it looks like it was supposed to be duplexes.
But everybody's complaining, is this Surfside? Matagorda Bay.
Hmm?
Matagorda Bay was one of the center points.
Oh, that are not going to be up for what, a few
Up to
days.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Matagorda again. Wow, all of these pictures are from there. And is that a ship that is just a sailboat is submerged completely? Wow. Wow, that is.
Matagorda Bay, though, it really took them to do.
It looks like it. They.
Heather Bruley laughs as she runs in the
Yeah, people are at least. Hey, they were.
I could think of a better time to take your exercise.
People were trying to have
Look
fun.
at that, he's taking a selfie.
People, yeah, at least they're trying to get the most out of it. But yeah, so that's pretty much the article.
There's a lot of good Samaritans coming, and you know, from that standpoint, yeah.
I mean, like I said, kids were
I just think, you know, let's move on to the next
rolling
item.
through.
So I can rant.
We have the center point energy. Their response.
Houston leaders were pushed about center point's response to Hurricane BERYL.
So this was 14 hours ago.
Can you just stop it there? Can you pause it a minute? This is what I don't understand about the reporting that they do. It's got customers affected, all right, 1.3 million. Customers restored in the last 24 hours, 686,000. Then it's got outages restored in the last 24 hours, 669. And then active outages, 10,780. How do you work that out?
I think they're going by zip code. It has to be by active zip code and active areas, because yeah, these numbers are kind of confusing.
It's all skewed off.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that it is like the amount of like center point energy, their actual, their electrical
Grids.
Yeah, their electrical centers. That's the only thing that makes sense, because
Okay.
but
Roll the clip. I don't know if that's the case, but it's okay. Have you got that article there?
watching the video.
Okay. So I want to discuss some of the comments in there.
There was a guy that said that he was riding his bike so that he could see if he could see a center point truck in his area, and he's like, I have not seen one at all. So that was an interesting thing.
Finished?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about some of the comments on this, which I think are interesting. Okay, and I believe that Houston needs to do a better job, one, to prepare, and two, to respond. Okay? Not a conspiracy, but lazy leadership. I don't know about that so much. I don't think it's lazy leadership. I just don't think it's thinking outside the box enough for the people of Houston. But it was interesting what the next guy said. I'm an electrician. If you wanted solar or battery backup installed before the storm, we have to call them to disconnect your meter before we start the job. Then have them return to hook it back up, and we have completed our work before the storm. Centrepoint refused to show up for the temporary disconnect or reconnects. They said it would be a few weeks while they were updating things, like basically telling all Houston electricians to take the month off or what. So if you've got solar electric, you can't use it.
That is,
You have to disconnect it.
and nobody can disconnect it besides the solar panel people.
Our governor and Texas politicians made it easy for this problem. Made it easy for this to happen often. The grid continues to be faulty as well. Shouldn't our government officials require from Centrepoint and companies that profit from energy to invest more on our decaying infrastructure? Touche, that is what I believe. Everyone sue them, file lawsuits. I'm at my breaking point with Centrepoint. It's crazy how this is essential Thailand kind of regular weather, and they can't figure out, and these people can't. I'm living like I'm in a third world country. This is unacceptable. Get these people out of here. We are not customers. We are now victims of criminal activity.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger ones that I was looking at is why are all the lines above ground in an area that gets hurricanes and tornadoes often? Which is a great point. Instead of having us buried underground.
Do you know how power lines are done in Europe?
They're underground.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're underground in a lot of places. It's weird that they're not underground here. That's what people are complaining about.
Do you know how long they last?
And
one of the problems over here you've got is, we are completely fenced in. We've got an iron gate, so you need a remote control to get in and get out. So if we don't get electric quickly, we're not going to be able to get out because the battery is limited to how much it can go backwards and forwards. Because we've got no fences, we walk in our dogs. We're not letting them run around the yard, which I would rather than run around the yard. But the truth of the matter is, I just get so disappointed with the way that the lack of responses.
Yeah. People are so.
I wouldn't trust anything Centrepoint says. We are lines above.
Yeah, that's the one.
Why are lines above?
That's the one I already read.
An area that gets hurricanes and tornadoes. It's beyond incompetent that a Cat 1 tropical storm that was predicted over a week ago and Centrepoint was still unprepared. A well-managed companies always go through all possible scenarios to prevent worst possible outcome, and they failed people of Houston miserably, beyond unacceptable. Do you know what upset me in the week? I voted for Mayor Whitmire, and he said, how well we were doing, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, he didn't say that this morning, apparently, I heard. He certainly changed his tune.
Yeah, that is...
I think it's totally unacceptable to say that, especially the poor people in Galveston, the infrastructure is so bad that some of the people down there are not going to have electric for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that is...
I mean, I can see the damage, but so you were saying they was pulling in people from Austin?
From New York and...
I've heard New York, Chicago, linemen they was pulling in.
Mm-hmm. So they are, that's where they're pulling people out of. But now, so the next one that we have, the next article that we have is Houston bakes in post-BERYL blackout as Biden declares an emergency.
Well, I'm glad he's declared an emergency because he's definitely got an emergency.
This is an emergency. I mean, I'm worried about people who have pets, their pets, especially people who have, dogs or cats with a lot of hair and things like that. Like, that has to be just terrible for
The
them.
thing that I like about this particular article, I don't like the content, but it says Houston-based post-BERYL blackout as Biden declares emergency. You can see where the track went. Houston was on the dirty side. The red marks are basically the places that are without electric at the moment. The orange, it's obviously starting to change. All right. Yellow, it's a low percentage of people that are being affected. But basically, the problem I find with Houston is a very humid city, and it's that humidity that is increasing. That humidity is increasing the heat index.
It is, and especially because the hurricane, all the water that we just had, and there's water on the ground, so it's making it even worse than it already was. So it's just making it so hot. I mean, when you're walking into your house, are you just not drenched in sweat within the first 5 minutes of being there, Steven?
I went home yesterday. Went in the house. I don't normally eat at McDonald's, but I thought, well, I've got no electric, so I waited in line at McDonald's for maybe 45 minutes. Got the app out and ordered my Macs, and then, which I'm not over keen on, to be perfectly honest. Got home. First thing I did was got out there and walked my dogs, and then literally I was covered in sweat all over.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we got our dog shaved. We got Old English sheepdogs. I'm so glad we got them shaved last week.
Oh, before the...
Yeah, can you imagine? And what's interesting about Old English sheepdogs is, and actually I think most dogs, they lie down flat on the floor because the floor is cooler. All right, that's smart. Perhaps that's what people should do, just lie down on the floor.
I told you I had to buy that bag of ice and just lay, just lay with the bag of ice when I went to sleep. Anywhere? Yeah, there's a, I live.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Sorry to interrupt, but I'll tell you a funny story. My wife buys these. She's Vietnamese, and she buys these Vietnamese dishes. Well, because the freezer is starting to melt, I've never seen her eat so much Vietnamese food over the last 24, 48 hours.
Trying to get all the
She was cooking dumplings yesterday, and she was even saying, I'm sort of okay with Vietnamese food. I love dumplings, I'll be honest with you. She said, come on, have some of these dumplings.
That's so funny. There, one of my neighbors, his patio, he has a gas cooker on his patio, and he was just outside just cooking on his little gas stove.
That's what Jeff was saying when he was over. He said he's got a propane gas, and he's frying his breakfast one morning, apparently.
Yeah, I was like, you're so smart. I'm like, I'm about to bring all my leftover food over there to cook it.
Yeah, can we fry it up?
Yeah. You could have some, please. Just let me use your stuff. I'm glad I didn't really go grocery shopping.
One thing that was interesting is, I think it depends. Our house, it's a pretty large. I think it's a large house. It's too much for what we need it for. The one side of the house was a lot warmer than the other side of the house when I got home. But because the sun's moving over. By the time the evening came, the other side of the house was cooler than the other side.
Oh, yeah. See,
and so you've got to,
you got to regulate yourself like the dogs. You got to walk to the cooler side of the house. So I'm reading this article that you put in the Houston Bakes and Post Apocalyptic. And so one of the things that it said that I think is kind of interesting, a little bit funny, is Keon Logan, a recent transplant from Chicago, who was waiting in line for gas at West Houston station, said he'd never been through a hurricane before, and the hurricane was trying his resilience. He said, the electricity is off, I'm running out of gas, my phone is dead. He said, I'm trying to survive and trying not to give in. So I just thought it was interesting because even my Uber driver from the other night, he was like, I'm driving this, lineman from Austin to here. And he's like, I didn't know that Houston got hit by hurricanes this hard. He was like, this looks like Armageddon. All the lights are off. All the street lights are off.
People don't realize.
Yeah, and so he was just...
One of our clients has a relative from Canada, and he's down here helping our client with some work. And he has no understanding of what happens during hurricane. And this is only a Cat 1.
Mm-hmm. It's a tropical storm. Yeah,
this is bottom of the list.
Mm-hmm.
But for a Cat 1, this caused a lot of damage.
Yeah, and someone also made a good point as well. He said, Krishik Harvey said, I'm tired of the power grid, basically. We've been through too many storms for them not to know how to handle this. Every hard wind that blows, there's an outage, which I think is a little bit true. I mean, there's not a lot of outages, like realistically in my area, where when it rains, usually it comes up pretty quickly. So, I mean, when it gets hit, the power goes out, but within maybe an hour or two, it's back up usually.
Well,
but right now, this is really bad. It shouldn't happen this much.
Monday, there was some guy on TV basically saying, well, what we have to do is, first of all, we have to evaluate the situation. All right? While they're evaluating the situation, in my opinion, all right, they should be starting to work. Do you understand? You can't, if it's such a big area, do you understand that? It's such a big area, to me, start to work on some of the little areas that you've already evaluated, that you should be able to, to put back online.
Yeah. It's just... And I'm really worried because there's an article that when we were just looking at hurricane names earlier, there's an article that says, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predict above normal 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. So we're going to have more hurricanes throughout this season than we've had for the past 2 years. So this is kind of something that
I think we've been very lucky the last
few years. It's
actually 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So now it's coming back with a vengeance.
Well, it's this, isn't it?
They have an outlook. So the outlook that we have, we're above normal, right? And it says they've named between 17 and 25 storms that are, possibly coming through. There are between 8 and 13 hurricanes is what they're expecting. So 17 and 25, like tropical storms, things like that. Ones that are supposed to be hurricanes, minimum of 8 is what they're expecting. Major hurricanes between 4 and 7.
That's high.
So so that is what our hurricane season looks like from June to November right now for Houston.
And the names are?
The names are funny.
Alberto, Beryl, Chris, Debbie, Ernesto, Francine, Gordon, Helen, Isaac, Joyce, Kirk, Leslie, Milton, Nadine, Oscar, Patty, Raphael, Sarah, Tony, Valerie, and William.
Yeah. So we got a lot coming through to us Houstonians now. We kind of know what to expect. For this to be a category 1, we might want to start getting our little can of beans, our little propane stoves,
But the problem with propane stoves, they're dangerous.
Oh yeah, well
Propane stoves could be dangerous, but people have got to live. That's the problem.
Yeah, I would cook on a propane stove outside.
We have, believe it or not, at our house, we have a brand new generator in the box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know whether to get it out. I was hoping we'd get the electric on.
Back up. You might
Yeah.
have to. You might have
Well,
to have that
the
out
problem is the
tonight.
gas that we've got in the garage has been there for quite a time.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a bit worried about putting the
Gasoline.
gas
Yeah.
in there. And I'm not very mechanically minded,
Mm.
so
My neighbors are using. He's got a big generator. I think he's using it. He's hoping 2 other apartments along with his own just
when we had,
shooting
I
off.
think it was Katrina, we had a hurricane, we had a generator, and then the next door neighbour and us, we got gas because of the long lines. We took it in turns to put gas in the generator that fueled the houses.
That's smart.
But I've got 2 generators actually. One, I don't know if it works. It needs to be, you know, I need to play with it, but I'm not very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about one of my favourite topics, pastas.
Let's see. Okay.
A pastor is facing federal charges after he allegedly hit his wife in the head during a flight when she got upgraded and he didn't. The incident allegedly occurred on July the 2nd on board an Alaska Airlines flight from Seattle to Anchorage. According to the complaint, Roger Allen Homburg Sr. and his wife were traveling for an event related to their ministry. At least he's not going on a private jet. According to witnesses interviewed at Anchorage Airport, police detailed in the complaint, Holmberg asked his wife, "How the hell did you get the upgrade?"
Yeah. So
Very gentlemanly of him for a pastor.
just a regular person. I think that's crazy. It's like, how did you get an upgrade? And she's like, I'm a
She
gold point
responded,
member.
"I'm a Gold Point member. Don't speak to me like that."
Mhm.
Good for her. Homburg allegedly handed his phone to his wife from the aisle while telling her to read it and gestured with his middle finger, according to the complaint.
Yeah, so I think that's just it's really bad. I mean, the people,
This is what I say though about honestly about pastors. Some of these pastors behave terribly.
some of them are awful people.
You know,
He,
they use the system.
mhm.
They manipulate people for religion. And I think it's a real problem in America at the moment.
Yeah, it is really, it's one of those ridiculous things.
You know, I don't want to get political too much on the program, but I think that's the problem that's facing the MAGA people.
So this pastor ended up hitting her in the back of her head with his knuckles.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and she also has epilepsy. So
Well,
yeah, so that can cause a seizure.
it can.
Yeah, so
As an epileptic myself, I have to be very, very careful. My wife got nuts at me the other day because I forgot to take my medication one morning and I came to work and she went nuts at me.
yeah,
She's good at looking after me. So.
I think it's really, pretty nerve-wracking. Like I just can't believe he did that. And then she said he had a history of abuse and he broke her finger.
Well,
So
there's only one thing that I can say to the lady: sue him for every penny he's got.
yeah, I think that now
At
that
least you get half of a church.
right. I think that it's really hard too for like abuse victims just because, people might not believe him. He's like, oh my gosh, he would never do that. He's a pastor. Because he even said, this is what he said. People saw him hit her on the back of her head, right? And he said that he tapped his wife on the head in passing so that he could get her attention. And that his wife is disrespectful to him often and had anger issues. So he tapped her on the head when other people said that he, basically punched her in the back of the head
Are
afterwards.
you telling me that pastors lie?
I just think that that is, like that's crazy for him. Even multiple people saw this and they reported it. He ended up getting arrested
Good. I hope they throw him in jail and throw the keys away.
Yeah, so they notified law enforcement. He got arrested for simple assault. He is not allowed to be on American Airlines. He's completely banned.
From American Airlines?
Alaska and American Airlines. So just completely.
So why is he banned from 2 airlines?
I think Alaska is part of American Airlines. So it's like a little, because he was flying from Seattle to Anchorage, so he's banned from them. And he's been released, but he cannot come within 100 yards of his wife. So
I guess they're not going to church together.
right. But I mean, hopefully she's able to, like you said, sue him. Because that's probably, it's probably really hard because if he's already broken her finger before, and it seems like he's used to lying about things like that.
Find a better partner.
So he's gotta, hopefully she's
Perhaps
able
he needs to go to anger management counseling.
He needs to go to jail. Just because if you're upset that your wife got upgraded to first class, I mean, it's like, it's not a big deal.
That was me. I'd be happy for my wife. If I was upgraded to first class, I'd rather my wife have it, to be perfectly honest, than me.
Exactly.
Because I'll be honest with you, I don't care.
Right. You don't, I mean.
She would.
Mm-hmm.
And,
just a nice.
She's always said that she'd like to
fly
first class when we go to the UK, but.
Yeah. And then I think.
I'm too cheap.
You also get that extra seat with her not being there, so it's okay,
Well, actually, if I could afford to put her in first class, that'd be great. I'd get more peace.
So I really feel bad for the wife, but I think that it's great that he got arrested.
You think it's great that he got arrested?
I am happy that he got arrested because I think, like you said, that's ridiculous. You'd be happy for your wife. I mean, anybody would be like, oh, that's really cool. You got upgraded to first class. Why not? It's not really, shouldn't be any skin off of your back. And now he's banned from multiple airlines. Now he's banned from airlines. Like, that's what you get. And so just, I think that was a good ending, but yeah. And this heat wave, they said we're at 106 degrees Fahrenheit average, especially because of the humidity. And then
is that the heat index? Because it's supposed to be 5 degrees colder today.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, that's nice.
We're supposed to be 5 degrees.
That's good. Well, hopefully we are.
You know what I want to just say to people? If your fences are down, all right, be careful that people are trying to get into your house. We're lucky enough to have dogs. If somebody gets in our yard, I can guarantee you our dogs are at the point where if you're on their territory, they'll probably rip their arms off. The truth of the matter is, with all these fences down, be careful because people will lose when they're in desperate situations.
Yeah, that is true.
And I want people to be safe.
We have to find some type of safety. This is very nerve-wracking. It's very scary. I actually have a story before we end where people are just very weird. And you know what? I'll actually tell you this off podcast. So we're done here, actually. Unless you have anything else you'd like to say.
No, not really. You can.
Okay. Well, that's all. We're all good. So you can sign us off. We're good. I'll tell you the story off of the podcast.
Oh, we're finished. Were we still live?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Well, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We would very much appreciate that. Every Wednesday we're here at the Olympian Table. As I said, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you've got any comments, we would love your comments.
Yes, if you're in the Houston area, let us know if you have power.
Yeah, give us the date and the zip code so we can do a bit of research. and we can see from you guys, straight from your mouths, who has power and who hasn't. And give us a comment whether you think it is acceptable or not acceptable. Anyway, from now, bye for now. Stay safe. Stay as cool as you can. You know, go and pay a visit to Mattress Mac. Check on your neighbours. Stay safe. It really is about, you know, staying safe. Check on your neighbours, especially, you know, people. We had a call from somebody over at one of the properties that we manage. She's on an oxygen tank. She's had to go to hospital because she's on an oxygen tank. Another guy who is on a heart machine, his battery ran out on his heart machine, so they had to take him to hospital. So, you know, take it easy, check on your neighbours, make sure they're okay. But until then, bye for now. Stay healthy, stay smart. You know, ta-da for now.